My name is Jericho. My pronouns are he and they, and I'm a body combat instructor. I've been a Les Mills body combat instructor for over 9 years. Being an instructor has been constant through all the changes of my life and the journey that I've been on. And it started as a participant many years ago, over a decade ago. Um, my boyfriend at the time was a Les Mills instructor and worked for Les Mills, and so I
Whoa.
got so I was I entered into the family very quickly and loved it, and I felt like, especially for body combat, it tapped into that part of myself that years later I would identify as part of my queer identity. But I was so trapped in like a cisgender, heteronormative, very typical space where I was expected to be like hyper feminine and super sweet. I didn't know anything about the LGBTQ plus community, and I didn't have any language for it. But I knew that when I was doing combat, and then later when I was a body combat instructor, that it tapped into that part of me that felt like strong and fierce and assertive and powerful, in ways that I feel like sometimes society doesn't allow folks assigned female at birth to feel. After transitioning out of that relationship, I ended up meeting one of a really important partner of mine who at one point I was engaged to in body combat class. And
Whoa.
so and later that person became also a body combat instructor. They came out as a trans man. And so we're teaching together on stage, and I was able to vicariously witness how like the Les Mills community, our participants, the instructors responded and welcomed my partner who was transitioning in front of everyone, literally like on stage, getting top surgery, taking tea, the warmth and the welcoming vibe, and just like how much our participants supported my partner. I definitely think that later on contributed to me feeling like I could come out. And so during the pandemic, I definitely, through a lot of therapy and a lot of processing, like a lot of gender expansive folks, finally was able to have the language to come out as trans non-binary and re-enter into the fitness space with a new name, getting top surgery, starting testosterone, being able to be myself, and participants and I like going on that journey together. And so it's just been such a wild ride, but the Les Mills community has been part of that ride, and I'm so thankful for it.
When we think about this in the context of Pride season, kind of this coming full circle for you too, where have you seen Pride show up in the group fitness studio, whether it's during June or just throughout the entire year? What does that mean for you?
In the fitness studio, there's a unique space where both like cisgender, heterosexual, mainly participants are able to share space with members of the queer community. And to not only that, but place us on a stage, listen to us, and have fun together in that shared space. I think about all like the divisiveness around the country and in just many different cities and stuff. Sometimes sharing that space is rare. LGBTQ plus instructors and participants sharing that space with folks who aren't, it allowed us to witness and get to know each other with a shared interest, and kind of took those like other things away. So you could literally just be like the participant who likes to work out, loves the music, and is having a great time. And so when I think about pride, being out visibly is a really big deal. And it provides representation, and it provides like a space where folks can witness that we exist. And I would say that the fitness space, we're already witnessing, and we're already being in community. And I think the fitness industry has this unique experience where it's like pride 24/7.
I love it. It's true. Yeah, it really does feel that way. People of many different walks of life, specifically queer and like cis hetero people, will interact. And even just as you were thinking too, I was like, what a great setup to like ease in, because usually you're like facing the mirror or like facing a wall, and you don't necessarily have to look around at everybody like straight on. And so you get to kind of have some camaraderie side to side, or facing one another on your own terms, or like standing where you want. So that's a really good point. And I would imagine folks listening to this about, maybe considering going to a group fitness class, that being a huge benefit of just getting those endorphins running, but also like putting yourself out there with other people when you feel safe to. What kinds of advice would you offer to queer instructors who are being looked at in every form and fashion on a stage as they explore this piece of their identity internally and externally?
As both a fitness instructor and a psychotherapist who provides gender affirming care, probably first highlight that gender dysphoria is real, and so many parts of a gender expansive person's life. And you can't just exercise it out, because when we think about gender dysphoria, it's like someone is like clashing like a bunch of sounds near you, and you can't hear, and you're just trying to like exist, and someone's just like making that loud sound over and over and over. And so you're trying to teach the class, and that sound is like blasting, and you're trying to go to school or you're trying to go to work till you're able to affirm yourself, have access to gender affirming care. That is really just going to be there. For folks who are feeling that dysphoria in their body, it's not about like loving yourself more. It truly is, you have a blueprint in your brain, and the body that you have may not be matching it. That being said, not every gender expansive person experiences gender dysphoria, so they don't have to be that way. But I do think if in those moments when teaching that those feelings are coming up, where you're just like that disconnect or that loud sound, then gender affirming care is something that would really help and support with that. No matter what body type you have, or who you are, representing and being within your own body is also modeling for others, like that it's okay. It's lovely to be you and to share a fitness space. And I think that's really special too, because I think our society is really trying to make the effort to open up to all bodies, all types, sharing a fitness space.
The space feels very, oftentimes portrayed in media like a cis white woman space. And when you look at, cis white gay guys in leotards, like, woohoo, aerobics is like what a non-group fitness participant probably thinks of when they think of what we do. When you think about your experience, your area, where you teach, we know that's not the case. What makes you excited about what you're observing?
There are more masculine-centered folks in the group fitness space taking the classes, whether it be body pump or body attack or body combat. Being in a fitness space does not mean someone is feminine, right? And really focusing on the benefits of all different types of exercises. One thing that I hope is continued to be talked about or the mental benefits of group fitness. The Atlantic had an article recently about the epidemic of loneliness. Fitness classes are a preventative to that because you are a community, even for that 45 minutes to 60 minutes. You're sharing a space where you're all together as a team. The more you feel part of a community, and that has mental health benefits, that has physical health benefits. And I'm seeing that more and more after a decade of being an instructor.
One thing I'm observing too in both my local space, but also in the international space in the Les Mills community, is where our masterclass presenters are no longer staying on one side of the store or the other in regard to their athletic apparel. Do you have any advice from your perspective, or just some thoughts in that space of what it looks like to see, or for yourself, just shopping at all parts of the store?
Top surgery, which I got in January, was a really big and important part of my transition. I was thinking about like, what do I want to wear? Like, what item of clothing do I envision myself post top surgery? And it was those muscle tanks that like have the big cutout. And I have so many of them now, and I wear them proudly, and I love wearing them in class. I wear them just all the time.
Love it.
To have a space where I can wear them and be in community and be accepted post-surgery is so important to me. Like it's part of my journey. The fact that the direction of where the fitness industry is going, especially with apparel, and the fact that me wearing that tank top isn't odd or weird, like, whereas maybe it would be 10 years ago, is so awesome. It's so awesome.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. And they're so easy to acquire, and like you can get so many different colors in it, and it's like you said, just wearing them all the time. It's like I'm not even going to the gym today and just running errands, and I'm in a muscle tank. So muscle tanks may be the gateway into wearing more different styles from across the store, because I remember too, that was like, I think I was 19 and our Reebok partnership had just started with Les Mills, and there was a woman's muscle tank. It was a gray one with the logo in pink and purple on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, ooh, am I going to be naughty and buy that? Will anyone notice? And like, you buy those and then you go to those events and you see everybody wearing them. And that was like one of the first times where I was like, oh my gosh, like I can do this more. And so it's like I've experimented with leggings and experimented with like different cuts of tank tops. And I think even I've noticed that in the last few rounds, like for Body Pump specifically, some of the clothes, like the men's tank top has had a racer back. And that's really cool because that's always been more of a feminine cut.
The amazing thing about gender expansive people is that we show society that there are no rules. Like the rules are made up. Clothing having no gender can be worn and accessed by everyone. And that is a radical thing. And I'm so glad that instructors are modeling that for participants. And it's just like, keep it going, keep moving forward.
I agree. Wear tights, wear leggings, wear whatever the hell you want. Like it's so fun, and you're gonna be yourself more when you're letting the things that feel right show.
It's so important to make the whole gym space be affirming and not just the fitness room. The moment that I do step out into the more public spaces and the locker rooms, the challenges of being like gender expansive are really heightened. So going to the bathroom, wanting to change my clothes, entering into those spaces are so fraught and so intimidating, and also in many places in the country, unsafe. Having gender neutral bathrooms is so important, and or having signs in the locker rooms and having staff understand that any gender can utilize any room that matches their gender identity is also really important, because I know of instructors who have been in those spaces, or just gender expansive people in general, also participants who've been in locker room spaces and gotten yelled at or chased out or bullied. It's very jarring to have this affirming, wonderful, loving, fun fitness space. And then when I walk out and have to go to the bathroom and a gym doesn't have, it feels so unwelcoming. Leadership needs to help with that, right? And I'm really champion that.
There's a lot of instructors in rural areas that may not feel safe to do stuff such as, just wear what they want, or try and find that type of care that they need, whether it be therapy, whether it be a support system. Do you have any words from, maybe a psychotherapist perspective and as a fitness instructor, of just places they could start, even if it's really small, just to find community or find something to support them?
The online queer community is life-saving, and it's so important to at least have access to that. And so Discord, Instagram, Reddit, and so on and so forth, like all of that, being able to tap into community through that is awesome. Anyone LGBTQ plus is concerned about their safety, or just wanting to reach out and talk to someone for support and to not feel alone, the Trevor Project is amazing, and I always recommend them. They are a 24/7 counseling and also emergency support, where you can call, you can text, you can chat online, and you get to talk to a real supportive person who will just listen. And I find that there are so many places in this country where it's not safe to be you. And so I will also say, listen to your gut. That person is no less LGBTQ plus if they're not out. I definitely respect and honor that process, because safety comes first, right? And so knowing that you're not alone, we're here and the online community is here. It's okay to stay safe and to not be out. Like, you're no less queer.
Looking back in the back of the studio and you see behind the glass door, like little you watching you do what you do, what do you think that person's feeling or thinking?
I love that question, because it reminds me that I didn't know that transness existed. So I had the feelings back then that something was different about me, but I never thought like, oh, I'm this, or I'm a boy, or I'm that. And so I think it's important for folks to know that just because no one has ever like talked about it, or they, just randomly are like, hey, this is who I am, definitely believe that person, right? Because for me, I didn't come out until I was 30, and really didn't discover myself and my non-binary transness until then. My little self seeing me now, I think, teaching this class and just being myself, I think would be in awe. She would recognize me, because when I was little, I think I was also my truest self too. I was vivacious and assertive and energetic and bossy and and just everything that I think I bring to class now was how I was when I was little. To see myself being affirmed on the outside is so cool and so badass. And the parts of me, the characteristics that make me, that have been constant, I think she would recognize. Adults being able to play, and I do think fitness space and fitness classes are another form of play that we get to do, to laugh and sweat and
Yeah.
all
Very
of
nice.
that,
Yeah.
and listen to great music and dance, and like all of that are forms of play that I think are my younger self would be like, oh yeah,
That's pretty
oh,
cool.
that's on brand.
That makes me so happy to hear. And I'd like to think that's exactly how they'd feel too, and seeing themselves in their ultimate self and continuing to grow.